Hello, my little geeks and freaks. Welcome back to my book bowl series where I will go through a massive bowl of books and hopefully not lose my sanity in the process. Unfortunately, this is one of those reviews that involve a very annoying series that I am questioning my sanity. And I'm talking about The Morally Grey Billionaires. We are on the third book, and it is called The Agreement by Steele. And I'm convinced that this is it. I don't know if I'm going to like any of the books, because this one, so far, is my least favorite. And that's saying a lot. I'm so grateful to have another series to read in between these books, because if I didn't, I'd probably be miserable. It's definitely taking me a lot longer to read these books than it is to read the books of the other series, which is putting me behind schedule because I have a schedule on when I want to finish my books, or at least to try to finish my books by. So I'm not so happy about it. But I'm determined to finish them. I'm determined to try not to DNF any books. But yeah, let's get into it, everyone. The quicker we get through it, the quicker I can get another series and keep up and hopefully have just happiness from here on out. Unfortunately, this is only 3 of 7 in the series, so, you know, not too happy about it. This book is about a curvy communications manager who is forced to work for her brother's best friend, who is also her childhood crush, who has a vendetta against her. Yes. It is confusing. Very confusing. Our main male character, Cade, is a man who our main female character, Abby, has had a crush on since childhood. One big mistake led to Cade seeking revenge in the worst way possible, in my opinion. I mean, he might actually be the first morally gray one in this series, and it's not even gray. He's just a piece of shit. He seeks his revenge. He has not gotten over this mistake. She's also forced to be his fake fiancé to help repair his image. Throw in a stalker and a tragic backstory, and you should have the ability to make an amazing story, right? Wrong. This author has a tendency to give all of her characters happily ever afters, and I am all for happily ever afters. I love happily ever afters. I think that it makes, I don't know, I'm a sucker for a happily ever after. But not this one. Definitely not this one. Like I said, Cade is an absolute piece of shit. I felt like his redemption arc was not strong enough to deem him worthy of a happily ever after. I mean, yeah, he did something, like, he really grovels, but, like, I don't think it's enough. Maybe I'm just a little bitter about it. Maybe because I was so bothered by the first half of the book that the last half, I mean, he wasn't that great in the last half either, but I didn't feel like it was enough. Of the 3 books in this series, this one is by far the worst. I think at this point my favorite is The Christmas One Night Stand, but that's besides the point. Right now we're talking about the Agreement, and this one to me is the worst. I absolutely hate the characters. They are not likable in any way. I do feel bad for Abby for what she goes through, but I also feel like she's happy to be his doormat, which it doesn't make the book very, very well written. I'm sorry. It doesn't make it enjoyable. It doesn't make me feel for her. I feel like she is dumb and a pushover, and he is feeding off of that and making it worse and just being a jerk. Is my camera tilting? I think it is. Cade can eat dirt for all I care. I understand he had a tragic past, and I would feel for him. I really would, but he clearly has issues and took it way too far. And I think, again, it kind of comes down to the way the book is executed. I feel like if it was executed better, maybe the way he acted wouldn't have been as bad, and it would have been a bit more enjoyable to read, but it just wasn't. It wasn't executed well. It felt very off-putting. I'm honestly just really glad I'm done with the book. And I know I say that about every one of her books, but I genuinely think this one takes the cake for it. Unlike Isla for being overly dramatic about her feelings and actions, I do think Cade does have valid reasons for his anger. I just don't think that it justified the things he did to Abby because of his anger. Being angry doesn't give you the right to be a menace. And it's a really odd situation because she wants him. She still wants him after all this time, and she hates how he treats her, but also like doesn't mind how he treats her. This is the part where I'm getting to like, she's a pushover. She gets hurt by him, but then like just, yeah, well, like, stop it. Also, one thing that really aggravates me about this book, and I didn't have as much of a problem with it in the first two books because I didn't really feel it necessary. I actually didn't have a situation where I thought it was necessary to add it. And I don't know if she has it in any of her physical copies, but when there are certain topics you talk about in your books, you need to put trigger warnings. You really do. I don't even think I have a trigger warning. I don't mind books with every trigger warning possible. If I find one that truly bothers me, I will totally mention it. But as far as like for me, maybe it's because I can see it as fiction, or maybe it's because I've been through a lot in my life where maybe trigger warnings don't really affect me in the same way, in the sense of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like I've been through a lot. I've been through some horrible things, and I am able to, I guess, separate what's happening in a book from like reality, and I'm still able to sit there and say, okay, this is horrible, but like it pertains to the plot in a way that there's some growth, there's a plot twist, there's something, and it provides a really good piece of work, regardless of the fact that there's a trigger warning. Totally okay with that. Sometimes I think like dark books are able to pull more emotion out of me. Again, maybe because of some of the struggles I've had, or just because it's a well-written book, but that's how I feel. But not everybody can enjoy trigger warnings. Sometimes it actually, shocker, triggers them. And in a way, it triggered me, the things I was reading about, but not because they were in the book, but because there was no preparation for it. At least, again, on the Kindle, I had no trigger warnings. And this book definitely needed trigger warnings. It's necessary. I didn't want to get, this thing coming in out of left field, and I'm sitting here disgusted because this wasn't something I was expecting, especially when the last two books had nothing to indicate such a thing. It's a difficult situation because, again, I'm not bothered by it. I'm okay with it. I like literature. I like reading good books. It doesn't really matter what is in it as long as it's an enjoyable book and it's able to pull at some type of heartstring in me. But I don't like your books, and you didn't put trigger warnings, and there were very triggering things being mentioned in this book. So, to the author, I mean, you'll never see this. I am a nobody, but maybe in the future add trigger warnings to your books, even if you think it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, again, I didn't mind it. It's just I was more disgusted that I wasn't prepared for it, because again, while I may not mind it, somebody else might be reading this book and it might really upset them. It's just a little extra effort for your readers, for your fans. Well, okay, I'm not a fan, but for your readers. I know I'm rambling, but I feel like this is really important, and I don't think that enjoying books like that is a bad thing. For me, I'm okay with triggers. Again, I don't know if there's one. I haven't read that many books, but I feel like I'm okay with trigger warnings. I don't know. I could really find one that messes me up, but I'll still try to read it. But it's less about the horrible things that happen, or maybe gross things happening, and more about how it ties into the story that matters to me. And it's how it's executed that makes the story still enjoyable. I've already told you, I read horror books. I've read some dark romance. Dark, twisty stuff can be really cool, really interesting, really fascinating if it's executed right. And sometimes it can cause a strong emotional response. I think that's why I like, maybe it's because I can relate to some things or some emotions that are pulled, that I have like that, ability to read them and not be freaked out by them. But there are tons of people who can read them, and there are tons of people who cannot. To me, emotional things can really make me feel connected to a book. Now, obviously, a lot of trigger warnings don't really provide emotional things. It could be just, things that people like, if you know what I mean. I don't know if I could say that word, so I'm not going to try it. But it could be stuff like that. But there are some things that are mentioned. Like, there are some dark themes that happen in books that people can't handle. This book had these triggers, didn't have any warnings, and it wasn't even executed well enough for me to let it slide that you didn't have that. So, I don't know. I was just really frustrated. I'm sorry. I'm rambling about. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm just so frustrated. And I also feel like I have to explain myself for why I'm okay with trigger warnings, but also like I shouldn't have to because trigger warnings are just part of the style of book that that I'm reading. This book did not need trigger warnings in the sense of you really didn't have to go there. I guess you could argue in the first book with Liam's trauma, maybe that could be a trigger. I really didn't even think about it at the time because it was so insignificant and like spoken about so shortly in the book, which, but again, she still could have done it for that just to be safe, but this really needed that trigger warning. But now that I'm done with my tirade, I'm very passionate about things, guys, and I'm passionate about people being able to enjoy things without being like shocked in a bad way. To get into this book, it's very obvious I don't like Cade at all. Just no. The way he describes women in the very beginning is very off-putting. The way he acts in general, very arrogant, very I'm better than everyone, just very snobby. It's just, ugh, no. Now, it's hard for me because I feel like I'm going to read a book in the future that has a very similar character, has very similar themes, and I'll enjoy it. But again, that comes all down to execution and the story in general. And this just falls flat for me. His redemption isn't that great. I hate the series to begin with. There is no swooning for me in this series or in this book in general. To talk about a little bit of a little giggly point more though, because I'm trying to see the good in the book or good in any book. There is a scene where Abby is on the train and she forgets to connect her headphones to her phone, so her audio book is playing out loud in a train, and it's a smutty book. So I thought that that was actually kind of funny because I've never personally listened to an audiobook before, but I'm so afraid of people like seeing my Kindle or seeing my like book covers and like kind of looking at me like I'm crazy. So I get that type of fear, like heart dropping to your stomach kind of moment. So I thought that was really funny. If anybody's listened to audiobooks, like let me know. Do you actually enjoy it? Because I feel like if I listen to an audiobook, I might get distracted by something and then not listen to it. But then somebody did mention reading while listening, and it's like really immersive, and I thought of trying that, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. A little mini random side conversation, side point. This book showcases a lot of irresponsibilities, a lot of misplaced priorities, and making Cade, move and hit with the strength of Superman, which stupid. The author literally said at one point that Cade was running so fast that his feet weren't even touching the ground. And his palm connects with this guy's face, and somehow he broke his nose. And when I read that, I was like, wouldn't that, like, maybe you would have to punch him, like, with a fist? And then in that same paragraph, he says he throws his fist again. Like, I'm sorry, sir, if you're punching, your palm's not touching anybody. Common sense. It's stuff like this, and it's not the first time I've seen something so oddly put in her books, but it's stuff like this that makes me wonder if partially, if not all, of her books have AI involved in it. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm just giving her too much credit and this is just horrible writing. But I'm getting some AI vibes. Another big issue I have in the book is that the author doesn't state whether the chapter or the time that I'm reading about is in the past or the present. And I got very confused by that because I was sitting there reading, and the way it seemed in the beginning of the book was that it was continuing from the end of the last book, like the previous one had done. So I was expecting that too, so I wasn't surprised. But then next thing I know, it went from right after that scene to it skipped back in time, and then you were reading all about the past leading up to a point in the last book that you see in like the middle of the book, and it gets to that point, and then it goes all the way through, and it hits that point of the last book again, of the end of the last book. So it's like you started at the end of the last book in the beginning of this book, then you go back to the past, read up, there's some crossover with the last book, then you read more, then you're back towards the end of the last book, and then you read more. And that was really confusing. If it's confusing me explaining it to you, try reading it without being told that there is a past and you're just trying to figure out what the hell you're reading. I mean, it's very possible, like, I'm not gonna sit there and automatically be like, she didn't do it. Just like I said with the trigger warnings, maybe she did it on her physical copies and the Kindle just didn't put it. I don't know. But It's very possible I didn't see that it said past and present, but I mean, I would have seen it. I read everything on the page, so I don't know. I really don't know. But I don't think there was. Just saying. I damn near had an aneurysm rereading the end of the last book more than halfway through this book. So it was very confusing and it was very annoying because then I felt like I was missing something. And obviously I was. Cade is literally using his anger as a way to justify getting his revenge, and his type of revenge is absolutely vile. He could be angry with something completely irrelevant, and then he'll snap at her and then remind her of her mistakes and then treat her like garbage for no reason just because he can. He like reminds her that she ruined his life as a teenager and then calls her some choice words that aren't even relevant to her, and it just made me hate him more. She just wants to be there for him, and she really wants to show him that she has changed and she feels remorse for the mistakes she made as a child, but he's not having it. Like, he is not going to give her that chance, at least not for a long time. She's changed a lot. She's grown as a person, but he won't listen to her. He just wants to use her. And he uses her in a way that I think the author thought she was making it steamy. It wasn't. It wasn't steamy at all. He's not giving dominating lover who is taking what he wants. He's giving more man who is butthurt and insisting on hurting her in any way he knows how, and that's how kind of thing. Cade's just a piece of shit. We're going right back to it. Like, I think he's disgusting. He's arrogant, and not Hunter arrogant. Hunter had he had the rights in a way to be arrogant, and he handled his arrogance differently. He was charming, he was arrogant, he was able to be vulnerable. Cade is not like that. Hunter's arrogance was kind of a little attractive. Cade's is not. He literally tells his manager he literally will not roll out of bed for less than $500,000 per second. Like, go away. He even has the audacity to talk about hooking up with other women right in front of Abby. At this ball that's actually a scene in the previous book, Cade and Hunter clash, and when Abby comes to make sure he's okay, he puts her on her knees, and when she backs away and pulls away from him, he calls her a coward. He told her she should just take her punishment if she's serious about repenting for her actions, and yet he has no interest in forgiving her or doing anything but continuing to hurt her. Now, you do eventually find out what she did that led to his revenge, and it was bad, but I don't think it was worth all of this. It wasn't so bad what she did, it was more the domino effect that happened because of her actions that was really bad. And while yes, indirectly and kind of directly it is her fault, but A, she was a child, and B, there were things he could have avoided doing that led him into worse trouble, and that's all on him, but he still blamed her. While I pity the boy in him that had to struggle, I hate the man he became because of it. I also hate that Cade refers to men having feelings as emo shit. Dude, go away. Respectfully and disrespectfully. Go away. I do like what his friend Declan told him about revenge. He said that he who seeks revenge should dig 2 graves. And I think that's perfect because throughout the book, Cade says he feels bad whenever she's hurt, but then he continues to do it because he thinks she deserves it. So yes, in a way that you do need 2 graves because you're hurting yourself and you're hurting her. Granted, I don't care about you right now. You did this to yourself, but you're hurting her. Also, when he finally admits what her actions led to in his life and his struggling and how it ruined his life, it's like some super convoluted thing. Like, I just don't see how realistic it is. And now, okay, it's fiction. It's not meant to be realistic, but it's super convoluted. It seemed way over the top for his character. And he'll acknowledge that Abby's brother really helped him out and saved his life, but then he's repaying her brother by hurting her. And he blames her for every bad thing that happened after what she did. Everything that could have happened that was bad was her fault. I mean, my gosh, she could have tripped over a stick at that point and it would have been Abby's fault. I get blaming her for the immediate consequences of her actions, and I get being resentful for the things that may have occurred because of the domino effect of those actions. But to blame her for the choices he made after, I don't think is right. He blames her for something he never had to do. He never had to get involved in certain things, and that's his fault. Cade ends up ditching her for a long period of time, and when he comes back, he's still a jerk to her despite acknowledging that he has feelings for her. Kind of. Doesn't want to have all that emo shit. But Like, he still treats her like garbage, and yet he's more jealous and possessive. It makes no sense. And because of how bad it looks for his image, and the fact that he just found out about Abby's stalker, and he did something in his jealousy that was bad for his image, he proposes a fake proposal, that she will play his fake fiance to benefit them both. We'll get to the stalker thing in a second. He also wants her to be his fiance because he wants the power that comes with being associated with her family name. Now, she is not associated with her family, but he still wants that reputation. He just wants it to be more successful. He's just a selfish piece of shit. Also, back to that little stalker, he was very briefly mentioned in the beginning, as like a few text messages or something that Abby received, and then he's forgotten about. And then towards the end of the book, he makes his grand appearance in a stupid way, and then makes his grand exit in a less stupid but still lackluster kind of way. It's during the second run-in, because we see the stalker twice now at the end. It's during the second run-in with the stalker where Cade actually saves her, and then Abby finds out that Cade lied to her about something, and of all the things that Cade has done, I'm surprised that this is what made her pissed off. In the grand scheme of things, this was the most insignificant thing he did, and that set her off. I think at that point that she is also very stupid, just for that. All of the horrible things, I feel like all of those should have sent you running for the hills, but you were sent packing because of a small, insignificant lie. I take it back. They're both stupid. And she'll go from like ignoring him for a period of time because she's so angry at him, and him graveling and her ignoring him, and then she jumps out of a window for him. I don't know. I don't anymore. Honestly, I don't want to give out every detail because might be somebody who actually wants to read this, and I don't want to spoil the book. But as usual, the ending is all over the place and jumbled and chaotic, and it's not enjoyable. And if you haven't been able to figure it out by now, I hate the series. I really do. It's trash. I just want it to be over. Why are there 7 books? Like, oh my god. I'm whining at this point, but I'm just over it. I would love to DNF this series, but I am not a quitter. So I will push through. I already stated my favorite quote by Declan, but he is also my favorite character. Once again, my favorite character is a side character, which, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Declan tends to give fairly good advice despite like his issues with his current relationship, which I believe is the premise of the next book. But Declan is funny and an ass, but still caring at times. So I like him. For now. Don't disappoint me in the next book, Declan. Please don't. There's a bad curse with me hating the main characters. Please don't be one of them. My least favorite character will come as such a surprise to you guys. It's Cade. I know. Shock. I really thought I liked him too. This is actually the first book in the series where the least favorite character isn't the female character. Wow. I feel bad for Abby, and I do think she's really dumb, but Cade is hands down my least favorite character. Even after his mini redemption and saving her from her stalker, he's still horrible, and I can't stand him. I can't stand his entire attitude throughout this book. Overall, as expected, with my review on this series so far, I don't recommend it to anybody. If you decide to read it and you like it, drop a comment. Let me know what you liked about it. I do want to hear your opinion because maybe I'm missing something, but I'm curious. And if you decide to read it, also let me know. As of right now, that is all I have for today on this series and on this book. And I really hope that the next one is not as bad or worse than this one. But that is all. Hit the like button. Comment if you have something to say, subscribe to my channel to show your support, and hit that notification bell to be informed every time I post a new video. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!